Hi, I'm Larry Hyde, a librarian at the Oregon Health and Science University. Today I'm going to give you an overview of some of the concepts and resources related to doing nursing research at OHSU. The first thing I want to emphasize is that there's always help available from the library. You can contact me directly or you can send a message to our general reference email box at refer@ohsu.edu or call one of the phone numbers on the screen here, and I'll show you how to find contact information online a little bit later. Today we'll look at the library website and again ways to get help. We'll talk about levels of evidence and publication types. I'll do a quick overview of what's in the library catalog, but we'll spend most of our time with database demonstrations. So I'm going to show you how to use subject headings to search in the Ovid, Medline, and CINAHL databases, how to find full text, how to make an interlibrary loan request. I'll mention saving your searches and then managing your citations using RefWorks, which is our bibliographic citation management software. Again, we really want you to get help if you need it. You can make an appointment with a librarian. We can meet with you online, so if you are a distance student, we can use Adobe Connect to share screens and walk you through a search that way. Or you can email a question again or call. We have a chat service. And then there are Ask a Librarian links within the Ovid and CINAHL database interfaces, so you can send an email to us right from within the database and it will bring your search history with your question so that we can look at maybe where you're having an issue. And then there are online resource tutorials. I know you've been given the links to those and I'll show you where they are once again as well. These are the librarians. Any of these folks are happy to help you. These are the librarians in the reference department here at OHSU. On the library website, if you click on the Ask a Librarian link, that will take you to an email form to ask a question, our phone number, as well as the chat service. And then under Live Guides, there's a library guide for nursing, and that may answer some of your questions as well, and it links out to the tutorials. And we'll do a quick overview of that before we go into database searching. You'll need a library barcode if you're going to check out print materials online, and whenever you sign up for something like a library barcode or an interlibrary loan account and you are a distance student, you need to make sure and identify yourself that way in the form. There'll always be an option to mark that you're a distance student, and that way if you request a book from our collection, we'll mail it to you for free and it'll come with a prepaid return mailer so you can send it back to us. So requesting print materials and making requests through our shared consortial catalog called Summit are the 2 points where you need a library barcode. The rest of the time to access electronic resources, you'll log in at a screen that looks like this, and you'll use your network ID and password. And that is the first part of your OHSU email address and whatever password you have set to access that. And once you've logged in through this screen and you stay within the same browser, you don't close and reopen another browser, it will remember your login, and so you'll only have to do it one time and you can move in between resources. So just a little bit about the library catalog. The OHSU library catalog lists all the books and journals that we subscribe to. So it would let you know if we own a journal and what years of coverage we have within our subscription. If it's available electronically, there'll be a link to the electronic version. And it's just important to remember that you can't search for journal articles in the library catalog. You need to use a database to do that. The journals that we subscribe to are predominantly electronic. If a journal is not available electronically and we feel that we have to have it, we will have it in print in our collection, but more and more that's becoming a rare occurrence. Journals from the mid-90s and before are still being digitized, so if you're looking for something a little bit older, we may have to find a way to get it to you by scanning it from the print collection. Or borrowing it from another library. But just be aware that the older content is sometimes not yet available electronically. And then also some journals may have what's called an embargo, meaning that we might not have the most current 6 years or month available electronically. And that's because we buy journals in lots of different ways. We buy them with databases, so we'll subscribe to a database such as CINAHL, and it comes with a set of journal subscriptions. And then we'll also buy journal subscriptions in packages. And sometimes the publisher just presents these packages in a way that they'll pick certain titles and make you pay extra to get the most current content. So we have to analyze our user population and decide if we need the most current content and if we want to pay extra to get it. So those are some of the things that you'll run up against when you're looking at electronic journals in the library catalog. We have lots and lots of databases and other electronic resources in the library. Some of the databases just have the citation and abstract of the article. Now they're also featuring full text, and they will allow you then to link out to the full text of the article. I just encourage you to go and look at the library website at all of the electronic resources that we do subscribe to, because there are many more than just the two that we'll be able to look at today. CINAHL is the nursing database. It stands for the Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature, and it really is where most of the nursing literature lives. This is just a little bit of information about the CINAHL database. It uses its own set of subject headings in its thesaurus, and we'll be talking about searching using subject headings in just a moment. The Medline database also contains nursing literature, some nursing literature that's not in CINAHL. There's some overlap between the two, and there's some that you'll find just in Medline and some that you'll find just in CINAHL. So oftentimes it will be important to search in both places. You also need to think about what your question is about. If it's heavily focused in nursing, you'll probably want to start your search in CINAHL. The Medline database is produced by the National Library of Medicine. We have access to it at OHSU through two different interfaces. We have the Ovid interface to Medline, as well as the PubMed interface. PubMed is an interface that's provided by the National Library of Medicine. It's freely available to anyone who can go online, but if you're a PubMed searcher, you want to make sure that you access PubMed through the link on the library homepage, because that will tie you into all of our electronic journal subscriptions. So to get access to full text through PubMed, you need to go into PubMed through the library homepage. The differences between PubMed and Ovid are there are quite a few of them. One of the things about searching in the Ovid interface is that you get to build a very precise search very easily, and using medical subject headings is built into that interface. You can get very precise and make lots of changes and build your search in different ways very easily using the Ovid interface. When you're searching in Ovid, you're also using the Complete Cochrane database, which is a database of systematic reviews. And then it's very easy to export from Ovid into RefWorks or any other sort of citation management system. PubMed has some features that Ovid doesn't. One of the most popular things about PubMed that doesn't work as well in Ovid is the related citations feature, and I'll show you how to use that as well. Again, PubMed is something that's always going to be available to you, so if you like searching in PubMed and you're used to it, there's no rule that you have to search one or the other. I'll be demonstrating Ovid to you today, as well as CINAHL. A couple of other resources to think about are Scopus. Scopus is a citation database. It includes citing information, so it shows you who has cited an article since it was written. You can also search in Scopus. It's not as sophisticated as a search interface, but I'll show you how to do that as well. PsycInfo has all of the psychology literature. SocIndex says coming soon here, but we actually have it now, and that's the sociology literature. So those two can be useful in nursing research as well. Again, RefWorks is our citation management software. It's available to everyone at OHSU. It's web-based, so you can access it from anywhere. It helps you organize your citations, and it will help you build a references list. It also has a tool that helps you to format in-text citations, and that's called Write and Cite, and it's a plug-in to Microsoft Word. You can access RefWorks after you leave OHSU, so when you graduate, contact the library and we'll help you set up a new username and password, which will allow you to still access and add to your RefWorks database. Some of the ideas behind searching in these databases are to use the appropriate database for your topic. So again, if your concept is heavily based in nursing, then you'll definitely want to search in CINAHL to start. You want to divide your topic into concepts, and you can do that using the PICO mnemonic, and I know you're working with that in your class. This version of PICO here doesn't have the T on it, but we'll talk about PICO just a bit more in a moment. Once you've divided your question into concepts, you search for each one separately and try to locate a subject heading for that concept if it's available. And then you use the connectors and or to combine your searches. So when you have two ideas that you want to bring together and retrieve a set of citations that are about both ideas, you combine them with an and. And when you have synonymous concepts that are similar and you want to blend them into one big set and delete all of the duplicates, you combine them with an or. And then finally, you use limits to refine your search. Limits can be things like age groups, sex characteristics like male or female, and publication types. Subject searching is important because it helps you draw together all of the literature in a database on your topic. So if you can find the subject heading that captures your concept, it will pull everything together for you, and you won't have to worry about variant spellings or synonyms. Every article in the databases is assigned multiple subject headings, and the way that they work is, an example would be if you were searching for literature on GERD, you might search on gastroesophageal reflux disease. Sometimes the D stands for disorder. So there we have the acronym GERD, which the bases will recognize, the two different ways to represent what the acronym stands for, and then you can also consider that in British English, esophagus is spelled with an O, so that gives you a whole other set of options. If you can find the subject heading for GERD, it will bring all of those things together for you. Here's just a quick definition of the different components of PICO. P is typically your patient or your population of interest or the problem you're studying. I is the intervention or the variable of interest. C is your comparator, so your comparison intervention or group. You may not have a comparator. That's uh, sometimes the lack of a comparator can be what you're comparing. O stands for outcome, and T here stands for the time it takes to demonstrate an outcome. T is sometimes also shown to represent the type of study that you're doing. So if it's a controlled trial or a systematic review or a case study, that sort of thing. Here's just a quick overview of some searches on asthma and pregnancy done in different resources. So the first one is in the PubMed interface to Medline, and it was done, the search was run on April 15th, 2011, and the first citation is very current and from a good journal. In CINAHL, you get a much smaller set, but also very current and from a good journal. Google, you get a set of 15,000 and your first hit is from a website. And then Google Scholar, you get a smaller set, still pretty large, and it's from a good journal, but it's also pretty old, from 1993. And that's because the way citation or results are presented in Google Scholar is typically, they have an algorithm that we don't actually know, but it's based on how often something is cited. So an older article like this may be something that's seminal and highly cited, and so it could be, Google Scholar can be a good place to start your search and find things like this and then build off of them. You could take this particular article and take it into Scopus, for example, the citation database, and see who's cited it since it was written. But really, using the citation database will help you get a more precise set of results than searching in Google Scholar. This is some more information about how to use the Boolean operators. So if you were doing a search on pregnancy and diabetes and you wanted articles that were about both ideas together, you would first search pregnancy, then diabetes, and combine those with an and. If you're looking at similar ideas, you could search, say, for example, on HIV and then run a search on AIDS and combine those with an or. And you can see how there may be articles that have both of those subject headings. They may be tagged with both of those ideas. And when you or them together, it'll blend them into one large set and it will remove any duplicates. So if you were searching for the effects of alcohol on depression, you'd search first for depression and then alcohol, and you would then and them together. You would not want to or them together, or you would just get a big set about either idea, but not both ideas together in each citation. Here's another example of how you might or together two subjects. So if you were looking at kidney disease or renal diseases, you would search for them each individually, and then you can see how they're similar and can be blended together into one set. This is kind of a fuzzy slide, but it just gives you an idea of how this gets to be a little more advanced. You might search for teenagers or adolescents, blend those two sets with the or, and then and that set together with your search on depression. You can also sort of reverse engineer your searches. So if you're looking for, say, articles about decaffeinated coffee, or if you, wanted to exclude articles about decaffeinated coffee, you could search for coffee and caffeine and those two together. That's sort of silly, but it's just a different way to think about how you can combine things. You can also remove things from your search using the not. So if you were looking for dementia that was not related to Alzheimer's, you could first search for dementia and then Alzheimer's, and then in the search box you use the command language to remove the Alzheimer's search from the dementia search. So if dementia was search 1 and Alzheimer's was search 2, you'd run your searches and then you'd go back into the search box and say S1 for your search 1 on dementia, and then the word not, and then S2 for your search on Alzheimer's, and that would remove all of the Alzheimer's related content from your dementia search. And this is just to give you an idea of all the different things you can do combining your different searches. So perhaps you're looking for how to make an omelet. You might search on egg and milk and combine those. Or maybe you're looking at how to make pasta. Or maybe you want to put them all together and have some pancakes. And then this is another funny one. This is Denzel Washington in different movies where he has different sort of props, glasses, hats, facial hair. And if you want all of those features included, you would be watching the movie Malcolm X. So now we're going to talk about levels of evidence. These are typically distinguished by different types of publications. So at the top of this pyramid, and this is a classic evidence-based medicine pyramid, we'll talk a little bit about nursing literature in just a moment. At the top here are systematic reviews, and also included there would be the meta-analysis. And I'll tell you more about the meta-analyses in just a moment. So the top portion of the pyramid are filtered information, so they're taking studies and appraising those studies and drawing conclusions from the research that's already been completed. But these are types of research. And then in the second section, you see the unfiltered information. These would be individual studies, and they're just sorted in the order of higher levels of evidence. So the randomized controlled trial is at the top of that section because it is a randomized sample and it has a control. And then at the bottom is the background information and expert opinion. And you'll find those types of resources in clinical tools like UpToDate and Dynamed. Here's another pyramid that focuses on qualitative literature. There's a lot of qualitative literature in nursing, and so it's important not to discount that when you're looking at your search results. So this, at the top of the pyramid, you have evidence from systematic reviews of descriptive and qualitative studies. So more and more now there are systematic reviews being conducted on qualitative literature. So it's just important to look at your studies and trying to determine if they've used a good methodology and if they're valid and reliable. This is another model. It's a little hard to see here, I know, but it just also emphasizes in the research section the different types of research, including qualitative literature. This is from the book from Johns Hopkins on evidence-based nursing practice. So when we talk about the systematic review, oftentimes people get confused and want to know the difference between a review article and a systematic review. And really, the difference is that a review article is the examination of literature from the author's perspective. So it's not expansive or exhaustive. It's really what the author chooses to review. A systematic review is a study design, and it has some very distinct features. It will pose a research question, and then there'll be the collection of research done on that topic that is very exhaustive. And the search and the selection of studies chosen to evaluate are part of the research methodology. And then those studies are all gathered together and analyzed, and oftentimes they're able to draw new conclusions from the evidence when it's looked at in that comprehensive way. Systematic reviews are often used to change practice. They take quite a long time to write because they are so exhaustive. And so you may find a systematic review on your topic and it may be a couple of years old, and so they don't that sort of currency is looked at a little bit differently in terms of the systematic review, just for that reason, because they take a long time to write. And then the meta-analysis is a type of systematic review. So here we've got the systematic review as a comprehensive search, appraisal, and synthesis of research evidence, often based on randomized controlled trials. That's changing now and incorporating other study types. And then the meta-analysis is a type of systematic review where the focus is on the quantitative data and the statistical methods for combining and examining the results. So Oftentimes a meta-analysis will be a component of a systematic review, or you may just see the study itself referred to as a meta-analysis. And both conclusions are made based on the results and or the presence or absence of supporting evidence. The Cochrane Library is the premier source of systematic reviews and meta-analyses. Archie Cochrane was the doctor who originated the idea of systematic review, and the Cochrane Collaborative publishes many systematic reviews. They're also published by other organizations around the United States and Europe now. Clinical practice guidelines are other great sources of evidence. You can find practice guidelines in the databases. The National Guidelines Clearinghouse, which is guidelines.gov, is another great place to find those. And then the other and final thing to think about here is to know when to quit. How do you know when you've covered all your bases? Sometimes you feel like you can go on searching forever. So if you're finding the same articles in different searches, you're trying different strategies and coming up with the same results, that's one good sign. If you've searched in more resources than one and you're getting similar results again there, then you know that you've probably come to the end of your search. And then if you're seeing some of the key articles that you found being cited frequently in other articles, that's a good sign as well.